What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for clicking on yet another video from us here at the Wingman University. My name is Nate Hibbert, and today we're going to be continuing on the story about this case study, the second case study that I've been talking about here on this channel, about Shopify and kind of the Shopify deals that I've put together. And I'm excited about this video because I get to talk about some of the numbers and why I structured the deal the way that I did with this theater company that I've been talking about for this second case study. And I'm not only going to be talking about the how, but why I structured the deal the way that I did. If you guys have been listening to anything I've been doing the last couple of weeks, I've been talking a lot about this idea of POD fundraising. Even made that last video, it was like 30 minutes long, just because it's a topic that I'm excited about and I want to put information out there on. But it's hard for me to give kind of general advice for a lot of this stuff because the thing that I like about these deals and something I've been talking about is that you can custom fit them to whatever client or organization that you're working with. So for this one, not only am I going to tell you like the numbers of what I charged and how I set it up and the deadlines that I set, but also kind of the reasoning behind some of that stuff, because at face value, if you kind of look at this deal on paper, it wasn't the most profitable thing I've ever done, but I structured it in such a way to allow me some more time to learn Shopify, but also to fully understand the benefits of why an organization would want to use something like Shopify over something that's a little bit simpler like Merch by Amazon or another platform like just selling on Amazon. So it was a very educational journey, and this whole case study was very eye-opening, even for me to like kind of go back over the notes of like, okay, I did it this way and I thought it was for this reason, but it actually ended up working out for this other reason or this other purpose, which was great. So let's get straight into things by doing a quick recap if you haven't watched all the other videos, so you don't have to go back and watch those, but just to catch you guys up to speed. So super quick 30-second recap is a friend of mine in Michigan works for a theater company. They're a nonprofit as well, and they were looking to do some shirts. They have ordered shirts in the past, but often find themselves with extra shirts lying around, which means that they paid too much for the shirts, or they paid for shirts that they just weren't going to use. So they just end up giving them away at the end of the day. So they're trying to cut that out. Both the storage of the shirts in their physical location and also having these extra that just kind of go to waste after a while. So my friend introduced me to the board of this playhouse when I was up there. I actually got to meet with them in person. They're in Michigan, so I went back for holidays and got to sit down and talk with them exactly about what I do and how I think it can help them in their current situation. And I've done a good amount of deals like this now over the last 3 years, and usually my go-to is just to put up a shirt on Merch by Amazon. It's super quick, it's very reliable, and most people like the idea of their products on Amazon. But two things kind of changed my mind for this specific client to take them away from Amazon. The first one was admittedly a little bit selfish. I was learning a lot about Shopify for ourselves, and it just so happened the timing would work out perfectly for me to actually have a website for them to put their shirts on if they so chose to use Shopify, but at least I would have some knowledge of how to start that and kind of wanted to see the benefits of using this for a client. And the second thing is they were trying to keep these shirts as low as possible, as this was mostly for their staff. So they weren't worried about making a ton of profit on these shirts, but they did want to keep the price much lower. And when you're selling through Amazon, there are a lot of fees and things associated with what they're doing. I should say that we weren't going to use Merch by Amazon because of the type of products that they wanted to print on. We'd have to use a different print-on-demand platform. We actually used Millionaire Seller, as they're someone that we're partnered up with and they do great work. So we could offer them the exact type of hoodies and jackets that they're looking for, since they are in Michigan and it gets cold up there. But if we were to sell that on Amazon's marketplace, like I said, there's a lot of fees associated with that would drive the price up. So I was like, those two things are making me think that Shopify is a better fit. So once we had all of those conversations, then I got to explain to them exactly what that would look like. As I talked about again in that last video, a lot of these deals are just educating them on what is possible and why you're suggesting the things that you are suggesting. And in this case, it was doing print on demand with Millionaire Seller through Shopify. That was the best solution that I thought would fit their situation. So again, just custom fitting like what platform we want to use, where we want to sell it, and thinking about all the things like, are they going to be driving traffic, or are we trying to use organic traffic? Like all of those are factors that determine exactly what solution I present to the client. So that's kind of the why we settled on Shopify. We just thought it was a better fit for them. But let's finally jump into the nitty-gritty of what this deal broke down and looked like. The first thing that I was concerned with, which I'm always concerned with, is making sure that the customer has the best experience. So making sure my client's customer has the best experience when they're actually shopping and going and looking for whatever product we're offering them, as far as like their actual time online and then the actual products that they get in hand. That's always my first concern. So we talked a lot about that. The second thing that I was concerned with, and again, a little bit selfish, but I tried my best and had Stephen keep me accountable that it wouldn't cloud the first thing that I was concerned with, which is making sure the customers are happy. So that second thing was to get more experience with Shopify. So a lot of the decisions and exactly how I structured the deal was around that for myself. Like, how do I get more experience with Shopify so I can understand the platform more and understand how to make it a better option or a clearer picture for future clients so that they know what they're getting themselves into, basically. And so what I mean by that, like even starting with how much I charged them for setting all this up, was around this idea of I just want to be able to have Shopify completely paid for this year so I can keep dabbling and experimenting with it. So something that I asked them when I was like, okay, like, you know, we've decided Shopify is a good platform. There's kind of two ways that we can go about this. One, you guys can have your own Shopify store, which is going to come with a monthly fee, or you can partner with us and put it on the Shopify store that I had already built, that I was actually able to show them and explain that they would just be a collection on our Shopify store. So that would limit them from having like a custom URL or full control of what the website looked like, because that's something that was already built in place. But it would allow them to use Shopify, which means their fees are lower. And we could do things, pretty cool things, like putting pictures of people actually wearing the shirts on the website that they would like start to recognize, or they would see like, oh, I know this person who works for this theater company, and now I'm seeing them on the website. So like they could just make those connections, and just adds to the client experience of understanding that, you know, this is a company tied in with a theater company. It's just not a random website, even though the URL is different than like the theater company's website. So the annual plan for Shopify is like $270, somewhere in there. So I charge this client $250, again, just to cover that fee. Yes, I was putting my time and other things into that, but I was getting so much education and learning so much about Shopify that it was well worth it for me, especially knowing that I had Shopify paid for the entire year now, and I could just keep dabbling in there. So that was kind of the first big decision we had to make when it came to this store. The second was the design, but I should talk about that price point a little bit more. And again, remembering that my whole objective was to learn more about Shopify, to get more time with Shopify. So if you are going out and want to try this for yourself, you know, I've gotten a lot of questions over the last couple of weeks of like, you know, how much do I charge for this? And you have to look at, you know, what is your operating cost? Usually it's fairly low for print on demand, especially if you're using a free platform. But you still want to judge like how much time are you going to put into this, and thinking a little bit bigger picture, like what is it that I'm really trying to do with this deal for this one specifically. I've said it a million times, but I knew that I wanted more time with Shopify, so that's what made me charge that price. It wasn't necessarily like I'm in a crunch and I want to get paid for my time, or, you know, I'm an expert at this and now I know how much my time is worth and what the upside for the client could be. I couldn't show them a ton of examples of you know, other organizations that I had worked with on this platform. I could show them all the stuff that I did on Amazon, but as far as Shopify, I didn't have many examples. It wasn't like, you know, you're paying for this service and this is what it's going to end up looking like. It's you're paying for this service, and I appreciate that you're trusting me to build out something that will be custom fit for you and a great experience for your customers. So hopefully that clarifies that question a little bit. If that's a topic that you actually want to talk with me directly on, I am doing 20-minute calls again. You can find the link in the description of this video. I'm charging for them this time because this information I think is worth charging for, and our schedules are just a little bit busier. So trying to meet with you guys, I want to make it a priority, but we've just come to agree on 20 for 20. That was something that me and Steven came up with. You're getting 20 minutes of consulting for $20, which we think is a fair price, especially when we see people actually taking action with this stuff and already getting paid for these type of deals. It's very exciting, so I want to just keep encouraging you guys to learn more about this, ask more questions. You can always ask them in the comments below, but if you just want to ask me about a specific deal that you're going through, or a problem that you're having, or trying to brainstorm the perfect way to present this idea to a certain client or organization, I'm more than happy to do that. Again, the link is in the description below. But moving on to the second big thing that we had to decide on, like what is the actual graphic that we're going to put on this shirt? And my advice from our Monday call that we just did was to start small, start very small, as in, tell the client that all these things are possible and you want them to dream big. But as far as this first deal goes, we want to use, a logo that you probably already have so that we don't have to spend a bunch of time going back and forth on a design exactly. And just sticking with one, maybe two products that we'd actually print that on so you guys can see exactly how this system works. And we can go up from there. We want you to dream big, but as far as just starting off, we want you guys to start small, don't overcomplicate things, and just kind of get the ball rolling. That way it kind of creates a working relationship. It's not just I'm doing this deal for you one time. It's going to be a working relationship which allows them to see what is possible and actually implement all of these things. It's no longer, and it won't feel like a huge burden, like, okay, great, we've got this online store with all of these products and all these designs, now we have to push it out into the world. But having more of a slow build also works well for your clients, we've learned. That was kind of a painful lesson that I'm going to talk about in the next case study. But starting small is a good way to introduce it to your customers as well, or the client's customers rather. That way it's not just boom, overnight we have a full website that you guys can go check out, but you get to start revealing products little by little, which actually builds more hype and more interest in the website and people coming back to the website, not just going to it once and never returning because they feel like they've seen everything. So lots of lessons learned about how to present Shopify to customers, but we're going to talk about that in the next case study. So for this customer, the theater company, what we did was we agreed that it would take us 7 days to figure out exactly how we wanted the logo to look on 2 different products, and then another 7 days for me to get that up on the website and actually be live. So I gave them 2 weeks that we could work together to actually get this live. And I have found that incredibly important as I've worked with a lot of nonprofits at this point, to give them deadlines and to give them fairly short deadlines so that the ball keeps rolling and they keep this as a priority. It's not going to take a ton of their time, so giving them a short window that 7 days is a good amount of time to give them for us to go back and forth, agree on exactly the logo that they want to use, because they had several different logos, but it was already pre-created artwork, so I didn't have to do that, and to decide exactly what 2 products we wanted to print on. I let them see our catalog, which I'm debating whether that's a good thing to do or not, rather Millionaire Sellers catalog, and they got excited about all these products that they could do. I think originally they picked like 20, and so when I said we had to limit this to 2, it took us a while and a couple of emails back and forth to get to exactly what 2 they wanted to print on for us to start with. Now for me, those 2 weeks looked a little bit different. Like that's what I told the client, that's what would be happening, but actually the first 7 days I was just focused on making sure that I could actually add their collection to Shopify. Again, I had done it and I know it should only be like an hour or 2 thing, but having 7 days to make sure that I can go and make all these little tweaks, check if it's working live, have other people check if it's working for them, and then another 7 days after that, when I said I'd actually be pushing the site live, was to make sure that I could add their specific products that we had agreed on after that first week, and then also check the checking out process, or adding it to their shopping cart and purchasing that for myself to make sure the whole system would be working. Again, lots of lessons learned in that, and I'm going to be talking about that more in the next case study as that's coming up soon. But in those 2 weeks is probably the time that I learned the most about Shopify, at least the way that we wanted to use it. So there's lots of information out there on how to use Shopify and build your store, but specifically for like the type of work that I want to do, for the type of clients that I want to work with, those 2 weeks were very educational, as the clients were just asking me to do things that I hadn't done for myself, and that I was trying to figure out things like coupons and how do they share just like this one page, or how do we track traffic coming through this one page. Like all of those questions I got to figure out in this 2 week span. So it was good that I gave myself that amount of time, and it was really good that I tried to check out and actually purchase these products for myself to make sure that not only are things working on a Shopify side, but also Millionaire Seller, that we had tied in if things are working on the Millionaire Seller side, and what shipping delays would look like, and all of that kind of headache that we had to deal with. It was good to process all of that in a short amount of time of 2 weeks, and prove to myself that we could actually get that amount of work done. So if I was to go out and build a completely different website, a custom website for them, that would obviously take much longer. But as far as adding a collection to our Shopify store that we already have up and running, and making sure that all the products are exactly the way that they want them, and them to get samples actually even, that took a little bit longer, but that was something we decided on. That took about those 2 weeks, and it took basically every day of those 2 weeks of me working on this thing and just trying to problem solve all the little things that came up, and trying to understand like how we can make this the best experience for their customers. So broken down, it wasn't the craziest thing, but I just wanted to give like as much context to how I structured this deal and why I structured this deal. So hopefully you guys found that helpful. But broken down like very simply, I charged them $250 for 2-week deadline to go from, you know, taking their designs, the previous designs that they had, adding them to Shopify and making sure that it was live and everything was working. And again, the backbone, the way that I structured everything, even giving myself 2 weeks to do something that I could probably do now in like 2 hours, was all just to build my understanding of Shopify, and specifically for the type of clients that I want to work with, which are nonprofits and schools and other organizations like that, like churches and those type of things. So yeah, lots of learning went on for me. Again, I hope that you guys found this educational. If you want to go back and check out some of the other videos that we have done, they'll be up here. We'll try to put a card there. Maybe it's on this side, I can't remember, but whichever side it's on, we'll add a card there so you can go back and watch some of the other videos that we've done on this topic, specifically this case study. But again, if you have any questions for me, if there's other topics you guys want me to cover, if you want me to do more screen shares, whatever, let me know down in the comments below. And if you're looking forward to the next video, the next case study series that I'm going to be putting out, you can subscribe to the channel to make sure that you don't miss out on that. But until next time, I will see you guys around.